I'm Vaishali. I'm a 2000 batch of MICA. So while I stand here, I actually feel, ancient, so to say, very, very senior. But whenever I think of MICA, talk of MICA, there's a lot of passion and there's a lot of belonging back to that institute. When I passed out of MICA, I got out with a very clear thing in my mind that I wanted to be a media planner, and so the 2 years went straight bang on to learning the ways of the tricks of the trade, planning with learning from the industry people who were visiting campus and doing all those softwares, and that time internet was a very, very novel concept. We were struggling to create our email IDs back on campus. So from there on, I got into the industry, and we saw when I got in, that was the time we still talked about integrated ad agencies. And so I got to work with, a creative department and account planning and a media planning, and then saw the transition into media houses. I worked with Euro RSCG, I handled Philips. From there on, I moved on to Madison Media, worked on FMCG client like Procter & Gamble. Now, working on Procter & Gamble taught me a lot of things. I had my head in the clouds saying that, I want to do strategic planning and this is the way. I don't want to do the dirty job. But believe me, there's nothing like a dirty job. Till you dirty your hands, you really don't know what is going to go wrong in, whatever you've planned actually. So that is where what I learned being on PNG. I actually finally, the last that I was working there, I was heading the national media, from Madison for PNG. So we were exploring digital, we were doing conventional media, we were doing events, we were doing breakthrough, engagement things with consumer. One of my work even won a Cannes Silver, and that was the first Cannes Silver in several decades for India. So that is how we did a breakthrough work for PNG. But all of this was possible when I decided to actually got into ops as well. So there were times when I was actually sitting and doing RO, and there were times when I was putting slots for the TVCs, and while the other times, yes, I used to sit and strategize, what's the media mix, how we have to do it, do we have to experiment with digital and so on. So when you look at a profession, you have to do everything, and that's when you can do best at what you want to do. So moving on from there, I took a sabbatical after that. So I kind of worked more on my individual self, my hobbies. So then I did a bit of writing, and I did graphic designing, and then digital was booming, so I kind of experimented with that. And meanwhile, there was a personal thing that happened. I had a slip disc, and which kind of put everything on a total halt. So there was this girl who wanted to do, wanted to travel, do things with children, do things with husband, get back to work, and here I was stuck in bed running to hospitals and doctors, and all that I was getting to do was pop in pills, do these MRI, do these tests, and I was just not finding a solution. And that's when I realized, finding a solution for my own self, that physiotherapy was a stream that had solutions to my problem and had sustainable solutions for my problem. So having recovered myself, that was the time me and my husband, both of us, kind of put everything away, and we said this is where we want to be. And as consumers, we know that this is a thing which is empty, this is a slot, and the existing practitioners are not able to do justice to it. And we as consumers know what is lacking, and we want to fill in the gap. So that is how last year we set up this brand called ReLiva, Live Your Life Again. So ReLiva Physiotherapy, with the whole idea of propagating physiotherapy as a standardized service. So this had nothing to do with MICA or PNG or Philips or media, whatever I was doing, but this had all to do with what my life was getting affected too. But as I got into this project, that's when I realized all that I had learned from MICA and all that I had learned in that agency, integrated agency, or even for that matter in a media house, how it was helping me actually roll out each clinic, how to roll out each communication to the patient, to the doctor, how my doctor speaks to the patient. All of that is communication, and that is what I had learned at MICA. So today, healthcare is a booming industry in India today. But where do we stand as physiotherapy? If I were to look at research findings, about 7% to 9% people come across a knee pain or a back pain in India. And this is only going to increase because we have a large chunk of elderlies. So these are chronic problems that we all suffer from. And there is no way that pills and surgeries can give a sustainable solution. We have to find alternate therapies, and physiotherapy is a huge thing worldwide. It's high time that we get those standardized practices, the systems and processes that we are putting in place to India, so that Indians also not just stay physically fit, but also attain a wellness in this category. And that's why at ReLiva we are trying to attain exercise as medicine. And we made a good start. We started with Navi Mumbai, we expanded to Thane, and now if all goes well, we go to Mumbai, and let's see if we can pan-India also. So that's how my journey has been. I've also been told to speak about my fun moments at MICA. So when I think of MICA, MICA has been my home away from home. Okay, that was the first time I stepped out of home and far away. So it has a very, very, special place in my heart. I was thrown out of the cozy home to the wide forests, and in the middle of the jungle there is this small area where we had to, we could not step out without an Odomos and a spray, and you had to switch off lights in the rooms in the evening, otherwise all the bugs will come in. And for the first time, not just I discovered the term called monitor lizard, I actually saw one, it was just creeping from one roof to another. And we saw cobras, and so that was like a National Geographic trip. But having said that, there was so much fun and hard work. Saturdays, Sundays were not holidays, but they were the busiest time of the week, because that's when all the industry practitioners would come and take up case studies and do things with us. We would sit through the nights, do the teamwork, and that is the group work that we did there is what taught me how to work in teams. When I came up and I passed out, and I actually worked in real life scenarios. So that way the experience that I got at MICA was, I think it's going to stay with me for life, and I still keep taking out learnings from there, and I apply to them in situations even today. So I owe a lot to MICA. Thanks.